Welcome to Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered. Content creation, reaching global audiences. In this engaging panel discussion, leading creators, publishers, authors, entrepreneurs and digital innovators explore how Cyprus can strengthen its position as a global hub for creative industries in the digital age. The conversation examines how Cypriot content creators, publishers, authors, influencers and startups can harness artificial intelligence, digital platforms and emerging technologies to expand their international reach, build sustainable brands and showcase Cypriot culture, stories and ideas to global audiences. The panel also explores the role of AI in enhancing authentic storytelling, highlighting how Cyprus's unique cultural heritage and strategic location at the crossroads of Europe, the Middle East and Africa position it as a powerful bridge between continents. This keynote was recorded live on May 7th, 2026 during the Cyprus Diaspora Forum at the Amara Hotel in Limassol, Cyprus, hosted by the Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered podcast.
So, hello everybody. Thank you for being here. It's quite a turnaround. My name is Adonis Adoni. I'm the news editor for Finance Magnates, and I will be your host for this panel. Now, when I was thinking about what we should discuss for the next 50 minutes, I imagined for a second what it would be like to try to tell the story of Cyprus, market the country to a global audience. No pressure, right? We have a rich history, we have a complex modern culture, but, and here's the kicker, we're not just competing with neighboring countries, we are competing with artificial intelligence nowadays, which is such a wild concept. So today, to dive into this question, we have a fascinating mosaic of creators, a real cross-section of the creator economy. Starting from the far side, we have Alex Christophe, who is a publishing director at Penguin's Transworld and an award-winning author. Then we have Rafaela Mehmet, a creative entrepreneur and digital creator, and the founder of the New Girl in Town, a community bringing together 3 countries. Next to her is Margarita Orlova, a lifestyle content creator in Cyprus that records the authentic sides of the island with a background in luxury marketing. Luisa Ioannidou is the CEO of The Soul Media, who oversees a digital empire of over 100 channels. Martin Zarian is the co-founder of the Factory 39 and a full-stack brand builder. And Matthew, you've met earlier, and for those who weren't here, he's a digital marketing pioneer, an entrepreneur, the founder of the Gentleman Blocker, and I found out earlier, in the running for a sartorial award in Britain. Now, to kick off this conversation, I think it's best to start with the struggle of defining a local identity. And I'm gonna give to Alex the difficult task of doing it via negativa. So your recent book, Cypriot, A Journey to the Heart of the Mediterranean, takes a historical tour of the island, which is essentially traveling through space and time to tell this unique story about Cyprus. If we want to find the true creative core of the island, things that not everybody can claim, what would that be?
Well, Cyprus is in a really privileged position, sitting at the intersection of 3 different continents. It's always been at a forefront. It's always been a site of cultural change, of hybridization. And so in that sense, it's always been a place where people have had to innovate throughout history. So starting from, 11,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago, when people first arrived, we had the world's first water wells, the world's first pet cat. The whole of the Bronze Age, bronze is 90% copper. It was really Cyprus in many ways that powered the Bronze Age, and it was Cypriot metallurgists who largely created the Iron Age by being the first people to reliably forge iron. So all the way through the history, you've had this incredible strand of innovation, and that has come partly from its kind of situation as a cultural hybrid in this amazing crossroads of different civilizations and empires.
So innovation is part of the Cypriot identity.
I think innovation is built into the island's identity, absolutely. And in islands in general, I think are always sites of exchange. But Cyprus is in a particular position in the world which is almost unmatched anywhere else in the world. And I think that's something that we should talk more about, that we should be really proud of and talk about as part of Cyprus's story.
Martin, a few years ago, I was trying to rewrite my LinkedIn profile, right?
How did you go?
Terribly. I wanted to sound so professional, so I wrote all these buzzwords, right? Detail-oriented, result-focused. It did sound professional, but it would look like any other person. From a brand perspective, Cyprus promotes the sun and sea model.
Yeah.
Isn't that falling into the same trap?
Yeah, it is. I think that if we approach building a brand of an organization or of a person or of a country, the process is always the same, right? It should be strategic. That's my bread and butter. And the question should be, what is the vision of Cyprus? What Cyprus stands in the global economy? What Cyprus stands in the global current sociological space? And where do we want to go? What do we want to be? Because currently the conversation about Cyprus should be much more than what it's been so far. More than passport scandals, more than real estate, more than halloumi, more than hospitality, more than sea and sun. I think we are more than that. It's an incredible, powerful melting pot of cultures, of innovators, of very creative people. But ultimately, if you go around and consume content that is being produced on Cyprus, it's always the same stuff. I was going to say another S, but I censored myself. So I think the real question is like, what do we want to be in the future and how are we going to get there? Is the government going to drive this conversation? We don't know. Is it the businesses that will drive a conversation, like Matthew said, collaborating, supporting artists, being part of the life? Because currently, if I look around, I don't really see a strategy, right? If we look at Limassol, for example, how quickly it's changing, is changing because a small minority of people are deepening their pocket, and there is no really a plan to preserve what Limassol used to be. And I'm afraid that this virus of what's going on in Limassol will keep widening if there is no control, no protection of what we want Cyprus to be. Yeah, a bit negative, sorry, but it's...
No, that's fine. It's, you have to have a balanced, opinion. You want to come... Okay. Okay, I want also a bit of an outsider perspective. And Margarita, you were born in Latvia. You were raised in Barcelona before
Yes,
coming
that's right.
to Cyprus.
That's
so
right.
this gives you a distinct lens of how to view the island.
It does indeed. Well, a little backstory. Basically, I grew up partially in Latvia, which is, a Scandinavian, Nordic, kind of very straightforward, cold country in a sense. And on the opposite side, there has been a sprinkle of Spain also for 10 years, where it was more of a Mediterranean approach, which we could say that is rather similar to Cyprus. Where we're experiencing, warmth, family values, food, slowness, specifically in Barcelona, by the way, that definitely gives a similar perspective. So essentially, yes, when I was moving to Cyprus, I expected that, I'm already familiar. I know what's happening. Mediterranean life is going to be probably the same everywhere. But I think Cyprus is indeed very distinct on one specific, let's say, trait, and that is human relationships. I do believe, in general, Mediterranean people, you value a lot families, friendships, connections. But Cyprus has this distinction. Probably one of the reasons, of course, is geographically, because we are a small island. It's a tiny country. Everybody knows everybody. A cousin of a father, of a dog, of a, it continues. You will always find some kind of connections. So for that reason, we also value reputation because, you have to be very careful also how you behave, who you talk, and you always want to represent yourself in the kindest way. But we don't do that in a way for a certain benefit. I think it just rather comes naturally at this point. It's a DNA of a country, I would say, to be hospitable and very welcoming overall. And that reflects, I feel like in every single part of countries' infrastructure, systems we build. I mean, that's the foundation. Trust comes before transactions here, and that's something that I notice really, really often. We have this approach of, I help you, you help me. This family values, they transition into everyday conversations we have with anybody, with a friend, with a stranger, with somebody we just met, with an expat. And I think that's something that I adopted as a foreigner. Essentially what I do, I'm a content creator here, and I talk about Cyprus in general as a country, and I try to tell stories about this beautiful country. And it's very interesting because I myself, of course, I'm a foreigner, that I live here for 5 years. But at this point, I feel that I am rather almost like a local. So I'm a local person for locals, but also I perhaps am a paradigm of an expat for foreigners that come here. So I happen to tell the story about Cyprus in both languages. So I did adopt that mentality of understanding that it's so important to invest in relationships. It comes before anything. It's a foundation for every single thing that you want to do here in the country. It's not only business oriented. It's with your neighbor. If you want, I don't know, find a good plumber. If you want to be in a grocery store and, find the best, freshest fruits, you have to have this foundation of very strong relationships with people around you here in Cyprus. So that's the thing that I think it is in general a Mediterranean trait, but it's very, very, very imminent in Cyprus.
And
Thank you.
Rafaela, as we mentioned at the beginning, you've built a community that spans 3 countries. So you interact with creators from 3 different countries.
Yes, correct.
What can we learn from them?
I'll start by giving a little pretext that as a Cypriot, I've always believed that we are meant to go abroad. We're meant to go learn, study, gain experiences, gain ideas from other countries that are bigger and more developed, and then bring that back to Cyprus so that we can grow. And so far, in my 23 years, I've done that in the Netherlands where I studied, and now I'm based in Dubai. And I think this principle can be applied to content creators. Even when you are based in Cyprus, we need to kind of make a more global shift in mindset when creating. So that looks like instead of asking how can this content relate to Cyprus, instead saying, where else can this message resonate abroad, so that we kind of expand the audience and integrate the story of Cyprus within that. And that's really how we put Cyprus on the map. So to summarize, I really think we should just go beyond Cyprus in content creation, even if we are Cyprus-based creators.
So essentially, the innovation that Alex mentioned, that trust and familial spirit of Cyprus should be put in a context that somebody in Tokyo, in London, in New York should understand.
Exactly, definitely. And in my experience, I actually also built community in the Netherlands, in Cyprus and Dubai. And I found that through my content, especially in the Netherlands and Europeans, they've discovered Cyprus in a new light. And I could probably open a tourist agency at one point because of how many people came to Cyprus thanks to content, just because I've shared, and they thought, oh, okay, it's just Nisi Beach, it's just Ayia Napa. But then I show them the intricacies of the life in the villages, the nature, which I am so deeply attached to. And yeah, it's really important to take that message outside.
And I think that brings us to our next theme. As we mentioned, in today's economy, we've invented a technology that can produce at a massive scale and on a fraction of a cost creative output. Luisa, at the social media, you operate at a scale of intention that is really difficult to wrap your head around. 100 channels, 100 billion views a month. I can count to that. So how have you integrated Gen AI into your processes? Is it merely accelerating production, or has it actually evolved the very nature of the stories you tell?
Well, going back to 100, we have 100 different brands. We're reaching 2.5 billion subscribers basically every single day, 100 billion views a month. That's 1.2 trillion views a year. Each one of our brands is distinct. Each one of our brands has its own audience in its own country, in its own kind of little age group and different demographics. So to put AI as AI or technology into a little bubble and say, go and implement, it would be the same as basically saying, reach 2.5 billion people with the same message. It's ultimately impossible to do. If any of you in this room don't use AI, I would be very, very surprised. I think all of us have created shopping lists, looked up flights, I've personally asked my Claude the other day how to open my Dyson because I couldn't figure it out. And it took me to a YouTube video that taught me how to do it. So kudos and thank you, Claude. All of us use AI in a certain part of our life. Some for simple things, some use it to actually interpret the market, understand the business and move it forward. What we do at the Soul Media is we use technology, we use AI to actually strengthen our creative output. And what that means ultimately is, for those that are creative around you, and I think the content creators and the authors around us in the room can attest, if you put them behind the computer for 8 hours a day trying to analyze their audience and their data, you're killing them, right? So in essence, what we are doing is we are using technology. We are using AI to streamline all the meta work that we do, remove bureaucracy, thin the layers of how many processes do we have running around production, and leave our creative minds to really do what they do best, which is innovate on fresh ideas, search for the trends, understand what is happening in the world. How can I reach my audience better? How can I gain additional loyalty from my audience? AI cannot do that. It has been tried. We have seen it on the market. It has primarily failed. And you can really, really tell where AI has really been at a mass production and the results it brings out versus what we choose to do at the Soul Media, which is have AI assist us to be much, much better in what we know how to do best, and that is engage audiences around the globe.
So it's not a co-author, an invincible co-author.
It is not. It is an invisible coordinator, administrator, I would say, sometimes even analyst, right? But I'll give you a very, very simple example from myself. The other day, I was doing an analysis of some numbers, and I asked for a small fine tune, and it came back and said, oh, oops, I just made that worse. So, and it actually kudos, because most humankind doesn't admit to their own mistakes. AI does admit to their own mistakes. But, it is a tool. AI is a tool, and it can yield amazing results if you know how to use it. And if you use your human judgment and your human input on top of it. If you just rely on a tool, on a system to make your life easy, it will eventually let you down.
It is essentially an algorithmic regression to the mean. You can't really do much with it as it is now, though. So I want to put a thought experiment at the table. And Matthew, I want to bring you into the conversation. We've observed since early 2026 the advent of new autonomous AI agents. We have Mythos and OpenClaw. For those who are not aware of these tools, the major difference with ChatGPT chatbot is that these tools, you can give them a goal and they will just figure out how to do it. They are not really sitting in a window waiting to be prompted. They are autonomous. And the way they are progressing, we might reach the point that they can become invincible co-authors. And I want to bring the question of authenticity into the table. We heard earlier in your speech, you are creating authentic experience. You are bringing authentic communities into the fold. Can we really use AI and authenticity in the same sentence?
Definitely, I see two schools of thoughts. One, the very tech-driven and AI and innovator supporters coming from tech companies mostly, or operators and startups that they're introducing those technologies to the market with their vision, very, very specific vision that the younger generation we be using those tools, that's including alpha generation to come and younger. So that's one school of thought. And then there is the millennial school of thought of mine, where is somebody that experienced recession, experienced the pandemic, that the need of touch and emotional intelligence and physical space is very, very crucial for the rest of my life. All of my friends, we no longer reply to emails. We no longer reply to Instagram messages. We just returning back to the telephone call. As every single thing that you get. I love that face.
All millennials, by
All
the way.
millennials. You guys showing your age. But I think there is that distinction. I was talking with another friend of mine that she's going to be introducing these AR mixed reality glasses. And I'm like, and she's telling me that, oh, you know, you're going to be going into the stores and you're going to be seeing yourself wearing the clothes that you touch through the glasses. And I'm like, but I can see them in the mirror already in a physical space. Why will I do that? There's definitely the market for it. There is definitely the next generation will be that. My nephews will be that. My kids, maybe the kids of my kids will be that. But we cannot forget, we have definitely, millennials have definitely isolated older generations, X and older. We have definitely took them by storm with this digital change. I'm going to be 39 in 2 weeks, and I'm already feeling isolated within my own industry as somebody that is boring and not relevant. So it is very, very scary if the industry has already moved to the generation alpha and all of the investments and all of the targeting goes to those, and everybody else is kind of there in this cloud trying to catch up or not willing to catch up, not willing to be relevant and taking their stand and where they are.
Okay, let me bring the Gen Zs into the table.
There you go.
Hi.
Be careful, guys.
How do you experience Gen AI? If we have a technology that can create, that can simulate, right, lifestyle, and it can perfectly execute it, where does that leave the creator economy? Are you scared? Are you excited about it?
Well, I'll start by saying that I can't say I don't get anxious about it a lot of the times, because as a full-time content creator and advertiser, it is quite a worrying future. However, what I'd like to think is that with the rise of AI, I think we're also underestimating the opportunity that it brings human creators. Now, of course, it's more than ever easy to produce content, but it's also harder than ever to create meaning in that content because, of course, AI can simulate the perfect lifestyle, the most beautiful picture. But my question is to the audience, really, aren't we already getting desensitized to these beautiful pictures? At least in my experience, since moving to Dubai and, translating this luxury that they have there in the Middle East, I don't actually see the audience resonating with that. Nobody really cares to see that. We are all tired of it. Whereas what I think is more relatable and relevant is sharing human experiences, human perspective, emotions. And I mean, if you look at content that, for example, Rita and I create, it's all nuanced. It's real storytelling. There's emotions. And when it comes to advertising, I think that's where the market will shift. There will be kind of a split where you have mass-produced AI content for brands, pretty visuals, sure. Everyone's going to have them at one point. But then human creators will kind of become that new premium where you have emotion with it, and humans will want to experience that as well. It's really, I believe content is a energy transaction. When we put content out there, we want to feel that energy back. We want to feel something with the community. We want to build those human connections online and in real life. And so I really don't see the creator economy going anywhere because of AI, but rather just splitting into, yeah.
Does that also your concerns?
I think she's in my side,
Yeah.
as far as I understand.
No, that's what I'm asking. Does that ease your concerns hearing that?
Again, I stick with my points that there is two schools of thoughts.
Okay.
So I support both. I'm in the middle. So,
Alex, I want to get the writer's perspective, because Luisa said earlier that AI takes over the bureaucratic aspects and living creativity, takes over the struggle. But for a writer, creativity is in the struggle, right? So how do you experience that?
Yeah, I think seeing it as something that can automate the there's this kind of famous quote which has been going around for the last couple of years that I want the robots to do my laundry and dishes, and I want to do the creative writing or make the art. I think the goal of Silicon Valley in general has been, the overarching project of Silicon Valley has been to reduce friction. And in lots of ways that works really well. If I just need something for my kitchen, I can just tell my smart speaker and it knows my Amazon account and it arrives the next day. It reduces all the friction and it knows my credit card details. The goal of art is not to reduce friction, it's to explore friction. And I think the thing that AI will not be able to do for the foreseeable future is to love or to suffer, to feel as a human feels. So it will always be an aggregation of sentiments from others. It will always be a kind of simulacrum. It's showing you what it's been shown. It's not really feeling. So I think that's something that, regardless of the medium that you're creating, you might be creating online content, you might be a filmmaker. To come back to what you guys were saying about authenticity, I've noticed recently that in photography, film photography is coming back because people really love the authenticity of those little light leaks you get or the grain of the film. And I think that, to me, expresses something about what we want to say as humans.
Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, AI is just a really nice high-resolution photograph, but without the lived human emotion.
There's no viewer.
Yeah, there's no viewer. Okay, now I think we've philosophized a bit, and I want to get a bit practical. I want to see how we can package Cyprus for a global audience. Tough job, right?
I did try. Did it for 3 years. Not working.
Martin, you said at the beginning that we need to have...
Can I get an AI question instead?
You want to get an AI question?
I'm joking.
No, you can't. I'm going to put you on the spot because you said earlier we need to have a conversation about how to promote Cyprus. How should we start having that conversation then?
Yeah, it's interesting. I will go back to each one of the points that everyone raised in terms of authenticity, right? I think Rita and Rafaela, they were also mentioning about that Cyprus is beyond, the luxury, the G-Wagons and the 4 million penthouses and the sea view. There is a rawness, there is a beauty on Cyprus in the undeveloped nature, the villages, the yaya, the hands of the people, the cultural fact that there are some unwritten rules in Cyprus as well on how life develops. And I think we have to be careful of what message we're putting out on Cyprus. And that comes from one of the hardest point that any country or any branding projects needs to assess, which is alignment, right? So what is it that we can align all on what Cyprus is, and how can we communicate more of that to get more of the right people in the island, to get more of the right messages outside? And I think we need to also understand what is the governmental agenda, because the problem is that on one side you have brand, on the other side you have money, right? Obviously, a country needs money. Cyprus has always been a limited exporter of goods and produce, but a massive importer of money. It has always been part of the political system and part of the strategy of Cyprus to import money. And then we have a look at also what's going on in the real estate in Cyprus as well. It's all investment based. So we have to figure it out. Is this our long-term strategy? Will this put us in the situation that we want to be? Will this create the brand of Cyprus that we want to be? Is cheap tourism happening in Paphos and Ayia Napa also good or bad? And unfortunately, one of the hardest conversation of any brand strategy is compromises and difficult answers to difficult questions, and we have to be able to say no to those things. And it goes back to my original question. I know I'm a bit boring in the way I answered this, because I'll go back to the same point. What's the vision, and how we're going to get there, and how we can leverage the people that are on this panel that are trying to push that message, and how we can empower them a bit better. And go back to government and business aligning and sharing that same message.
Okay, let's hone in on that. Luisa, okay, it's true that not everybody can make money being a creator, right? But there is room to grow in Cyprus. And as Martin said, that can be a great way to export Cyprus. So how can we create the conditions to better support Cypriots to enter this field and actually be successful?
Well, let me first kind of touch a point that Martin mentioned, and it goes back a little bit to my story. I'm also a millennial, similar to Matthew. I think you can see from the lines of my face, but that's fine. I actually left Cyprus when I was 18. I came back 5 years ago. And the simple reason I did that was because I went to study. Then I said, Cyprus is just for vacation. Cyprus is sun and sea. I want a career. I want to be somebody. I want to build something. And I cannot do that in Cyprus because Cyprus doesn't offer careers. Cyprus doesn't do anything except from sun and sea and maybe some skiing in Troodos on the 4th of May of 2026 when it actually snowed. But, it did not offer at that time anything. So things are much different now. Things are much, much different now. There is a huge way to improve and a huge road ahead of us. So when it comes to how do we start, we start with our people. If our own people, if we as Cypriots think, I have no way to progress in this country, the roads are never going to get fixed. This is never going to get done. It's the same thing that recycles again and again and again and again. And if I want to build something for myself, I have to first live 20 years abroad and then move back when I've gotten somewhere. That's an issue. So there's, a lot more universities now as well versus what it was back in the age. There's industries, there's actual careers, a number of different kind of sectors where people can step in. And I think it's important for us to show that to our youngsters, to show that to those that are basically going to come into the market. Now, when it comes to how we can promote, let's say, growing within the creator economy, I don't think it's very difficult. My daughter is 9. She already told me she's going to be a YouTuber by age 15. Mm-hmm. She's just waiting for me to sign off that she can open her own YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. It's not that difficult, but do we provide the education? Do we provide if we really believe that the creator economy is the future, and I personally do believe the creator economy is the future, and actually more people are online than they read newspapers, books, and everything by now, right? People get their news by watching YouTube and watching Instagram and sending messages to each other on these platforms that Matthew hates. But it is reality. It is what is happening in the world right now. So where are we having competitions about be an ambassador of this country. Come up with, the most creative way to show off your village, your career, your, living lifestyle, your whatever it may be, because Cyprus has a lot more to offer than sun and sea. And it is up to us to bring those people into the industry, to get them into academies or degrees or certificates that teach them how to basically create content, because creating content is not just, switching on your tripod and your video and you talk to the camera for 2 seconds and then you post it. There's a huge infrastructure behind it, right? The amount of hours that go into successful content is huge, and it actually can be a job, and it is a job for the future. So I really would want to see, certificates or even kind of, I wouldn't say degrees, right? University degrees, but academies when it comes to how to engage people, how to create loyalty, how to go and create communities, right? How to basically become an ambassador for your own country and keep our young generation engaged and bring in the actual message, or bring out the actual message that we want to bring out for the country.
But there is, though, a benefit to spreading your wings abroad, just not doing it for 20 years.
There is a Look, 20 years led to 2 languages as well, right? And a couple of stamps in my passport. But there are benefits. And I would say that the most important benefit that I personally took out of it is understanding different cultures and, learning how to communicate with people across cultural boundaries, age boundaries, demographic boundaries in general. It really opens up your perspective. I lived in UK, I lived in the Netherlands, I lived in Spain, 3 very different countries, 3 very, very different cultures. Each one has their pluses and their minuses. Each one has a little bit of Cyprus in them. So I think going back to what we were discussing at the very beginning around the Cyprus voice, right? It's that we're very, very resilient as well as a nation, as a DNA. We're extremely resilient people. We adapt. And we have had a lot of influx of different cultures, not in the last 10 years, right? Across centuries back, right? It was always a different culture that was coming to Cyprus, leaving Cyprus, another one coming in. So we're very, very blended people. 20 years abroad, in essence, helps you get a perspective of what is happening outside of these kind of square meters, how many hundreds of square meters that Cyprus is. That's pretty small. And understanding what really, you could get on the outside of the world and bringing it in to make your life and Cyprus a little bit better. Because I also believe that each and every single one of us, forget the political system, forget the education system, forget all of it. Each and every single one of us actually has a voice. And with our voice, we have a circle around us. And within that circle around us, we actually can make a difference.
Matthew, I feel you want to add something.
I'm thinking if I should add it or not. Since 2010, I was one of the first bloggers at the time to launch a platform and a lifestyle that changed the whole world, and everybody has built an industry and their lives on that. There is 5 guys around the world. I was one of the 5 representing the UK doing that. Cyprus came back to me, leaving Cyprus post-army, probably in the last 8 years later. I was already on top, on the peak of my career. And I reached out to the land, to a university here, to this friend of mine. I didn't even know that she was running this marketing program. And I gave her a call and I'm like, I want to come to Cyprus to share my knowledge of what's happening in this stage of the world and bring it to Cyprus. And she was like so surprised. She goes like, oh, just please send me a CV. Who are you? I have no idea who you are. Sent her a 3-page CV with all of the universities that they invited me in Brazil, in Milan, in Spain, in London, all of my career, all of these brand ambassadorships, collaborations, consultancies, and so on. She invites me, I get into Cyprus. For the last probably 10 years, I have tried to educate the market, to give them creators economy, bloggers, influencers, digital, social media. It is the new way of doing things. We need to understand that the rest of the world is already on the other side. So if we are still on this stage, still arguing that the creators economy are the ones that is going to change the system of Cyprus, we have no hope. It's not going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. I'm sorry I'm being so pessimistic. I did 3 years campaign during the pandemic, gave to every single Deputy Ministry of Tourism, hospitality industry, every single one of them, 250 people were there listening for an hour. My screen burned out. I had 150 slides and I gave them out of the heart. Everybody was like stunned of what is happening, that this digital thing will take over their lives and they need to be digitalized. And we are back to ground zero again to argue about this point. We are beyond this point. The rest of the world is beyond this point. There is very few things happening in Cyprus. I hate the word small. That has been marked with my generation always. And it's sad to see that the next generation is also marked by it, that Cyprus is small and a small country and a small country. We are not small. We are a country that belongs to the European Union. We have a union of friends that we have not engaged with at all for whatever reasons, for the money or for whatever, while we look our interest elsewhere instead of Lisbon has been through exactly the same gentrification, through the same recession. Lisbon is no longer recognizable. Milan has been exactly the same. Milan is no longer recognizable. Exactly the same timing as Cyprus. So with less money, with less golden passports. So I don't know where the problem lies, why we are so stuck of, I don't know, is it the support? Is it the resilience of helping each other? Because it can also be that. We're saying we are resilient as people, but we also resilience of helping each other to grow and go forward. We are back again. I try to prove with the government and the Ministry of Tourism and all of these communities that I have managed to build, connect, protect, present, to prove them that sun and the beach, there is more than that. We were going towards that direction with that vision. All of a sudden, government change. We are back to the sun and to the beach, back again. Let's bring, I don't know, maybe the logo will come back again, with the beach and the Aphrodite. It's just sad. We need to move on. We need the younger people to come in. We need to allow the millennials to take the key positions. We need to allow them to be the directors, the CEOs of companies. We need to let go and we need to pass on our lovely companies, our lovely profit to the younger generation that they know how to do best. You can observe if you're older, offer your experience, but then the ideas on the table. If we don't know, you're asking, how can we promote? Use AI at this point. Yes, use ChatGPT and it can give you 10 ideas of what Cyprus is about. Just use that. I'm happy with that. I will be very, very happy if you actually do that. Because it will be different than the sun and the beach. Even AI and ChatGPT will give you 10 new ideas that you can actually apply. And it's also, everything is so short term. Like nobody can think that Limassol, it can be this street from here to there, it will look like this in 10 years. I was arguing with Georgia in Larnaca, and I will make the observation. Now everybody will be making the same observation because now it's stuck into your head. If you walk in Larnaca, in the Tieni Finikudes, there is 15 different types of beans a meter after each other. In every beans, like for your rubbish. Καλάθι. 15 διαφορετικά types, 1 meter after each other. In every other European capital of the world, you are looking to find one. In Finicúdas, there is 15 different types. Every meter, there is one. I cannot accept that this country, it has this vision. I cannot accept that the idea, vision, or taste is vision and taste is subjective. It's not subjective. It's not subjective. We need to start somewhere, and you need to be offering people a certain stage to work. We need the base, we need the infrastructure, we need that innovation, we need the businesses to grow. We have the money. Maybe we don't spend them right because everybody just is interested in their own homes. But it's becoming the same thing with Greece. There's no pavements. Like after the beautiful building of the 2 million apartment penthouse that you're gonna buy, there is no pavement to get down to. Why will I live in Cyprus and I cannot live in a Milan palazzo for 2 million? That everything is marble. There is Lake Como. I can go to Lake Como, to George Clooney. It's fine. I think, it's a worrying thing. It is a pessimistic thing that I'm sharing. But hopefully will be an awakening thing for everyone, every single one of us to move the stage forward. And we need to be fast, because otherwise, again, something else short-term will come along, whatever war is going to happen and we're going to benefit from, and we're going to attract them and we're going to give them. Everybody gives golden passports. Every single country has been given golden passport. UK is giving golden passports. Spain is giving golden passports.
That's a bit different though.
It's very, very similar. We want to think that it's different. We have argued in different ways. There is corruption in every single country.
Just to be actually correct, we are giving naturalization. They are giving visas, golden visas. It's 2 different levels.
Okay.
So just would be...
It's okay. I take that point. It's still the money coming in. Maybe it's the investments that they're going wrong or how we share the money. But it's just maybe... if we are in this stage today, we should be looking, from today, where are we going to be in 10 years' time? And nobody knows. Nobody. There's not a single president. There's not a single candidate. Nobody has any idea of where Cyprus will be in 10 years' time.
Okay, just to play the devil's advocate before I bring the younger generation into the fold to see how they see things. Man, I'm your age, I believe. It's the way you feel, not the way you look. So what was I going to say? Yeah, we are not alone in having short-term vision, though. Most countries change governments every 5 years, and there were different political parties. Those parties bring different ideas. So it's essentially a problem with the system across the world.
Yeah.
Now, how do you experience things on the ground? Do you feel that you don't have that support that Matthew was talking about?
Me personally, yes. I think I really share the struggle. Again, from foreigners' perspective, to be honest, you would think, well, she came to Cyprus. Why is she so obsessed on putting Cyprus on the map? It doesn't get in my head that there is so much history. There is so much, museums that we don't know about, that we live here. So many influential figures. It's just not talked about. And I am so almost frustrated by it that I said at one point, you know what, I will be the one doing that. And that's essentially how my channel started. So, but we do lack the support from bigger system. We just decided to be one of the crazy ones that decided, let's just do it no matter what the consequence is. I personally started noticing the shift of support, but only very recently. But I think that also came with a certain attention that me personally as a creator, I was drawing towards myself. I was it was almost like me shouting online, like, guys, come on, look, we have this in Cyprus, just go here. And I do understand that there is a demand for this, simply because there is daily people reaching me out and telling me, oh my God, I lived here all my life, and right around the corner, there was this, and I never noticed that. So it's something that does need to be noticed, does have to be emphasized, and we truly, truly need to change maybe storytelling about how we put Cyprus on the map and things we have here, because it's very true. As you all mentioned, at this point, there is so much stigma about Cyprus, Ayia Napa party, Paphos retirement. There is more to that. So we're trying our best.
Maybe you should go into to put Veleftικές Athelis. If you want, you can go to Veleftικές as well. Like, the stage is open for everyone.
Okay, I think we overshoot our allotted time. So I think that's a nice way to close this panel. So a round of applause for our speakers. Guys, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for listening to Cyprus Diaspora Uncovered. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for more inspiring conversations that are shaping Cyprus's global future. You can also explore more episodes on our website and selected video interviews on our YouTube channels.